Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. Ultimately, also, this episode is brought to you by Indexilla. It's the brainchild of my indexation research and testing. It's based on proprietary technology that doesn't rely on any single search engine's API, and at the same time ensuring more reliable and consistent indexing results. You can find it at indexilla.io. Now, on this show, I talk a lot about SEO in various forms. SEO testing, stories, rants, new things. And today I want to share about an article that got me thinking and how the topic of that article plays into things that I've been talking about for a while. It's in search engine land about how TRED, keyword research, as we've been trained on it, is failing us now in this era of AI and unhelpful content. That's my addition to the topic. Now, this is Confessions of an SEO, Season 5, Episode 8. Now, let's all put our pencils down. As SEOs, I think we brainwash ourselves, into thinking we're not working if we're not writing more content, optimizing that content, pushing that content out. We're not earning our keep. Am I right? Many of you may know my thoughts about the traditional SEO agency. X number of articles every month or every week or God knows when. The hours spent on the end of month report to clients that, frankly, if they knew how much time was actually spent on it to prove to them that their dollars were wisely invested, I think that report would surely get thrown under the bus. I digress. In this age of AI and Google wanting to capture every single dollar online, writing content for our clients, for whatever reason, is kind of high on the charts of options of work that we do for them. Now, I also happen to have data, various sites that demonstrate that more content on the site, for the sake of more content on the site, does not mean more traffic or more money or more forms or more phone calls. Just in case you're wondering, yeah, I'm throwing in some helpful content woes in that as well. I've been preaching for a while that our keyword research, as we were all likely taught, go for the high volume keywords, look and see long tail keywords that we can write content on. That this type of keyword research, looking for specific aspects of those keywords, is killing our clients. It's expensive, not because writing has gotten more expensive. In fact, it's gotten less expensive, but it's whatever it's costing us to create this content that's not helping our clients and not helping them get more of what they want, in fact, is likely shrinking their footprint in the SERPs. That's a costly use of our time and our skills. So, ouch is what I got to say. Now, what brought all this to mind is I came across an article by an SEO called Dale Bertrand. And he wrote an article on search engine land. And I highly recommend that both SEOs and business owners take a look at it. I'm going to give you a little synopsis and maybe a little emphasis because I think in general, my viewpoint and our ideas line up in parallel, even if we use different words. And I will put the link to the article in the description. So I wanted to talk a little bit about exactly how is keyword research as we have known it to be, how is it failing us? How is it failing our clients? So as I see it, this issue that I'm about to talk about is one of the number one reasons why content doesn't get indexed and served. Boom. Okay. And it's because SEOs and content writers have been trained to focus on keywords. And I'm going to share with you some pages that I found on a roofing site that was losing traffic. And this was just one example of a cluster of pages on that site. Once you have multiple clusters of similar types of issues on sites like this, these clusters seem to have a multiplying negative effect on indexing, serving, and ranking. Just so happens, if that sounds familiar to you, all three of those are the subsystems of Google's overall content indexation system. So let's dive in. Now, I'm just going to read you the URL slugs. My goal here is not to share the domain or anything like that, because I think this is far more common than perhaps we all really understand. All right, so here we go. The first page was choosing the best city name, roof replacement contractor. The second one was roof replacement tips for finding the best contractor. Third one, roof replacement, how to choose the right contractor. And the fifth page, a complete guide for roofing and siding contractors. And then another one, roofing contractors finding the right fit for your city name home, and how to choose the best roofing contractor in city name. Now it's easy, isn't it, when you look at all those together? And I have no doubt that back in the early 2000s, this approach with your keywords worked. Newsflash, this no longer works. If you are doing this and wondering why things aren't getting better, this is why. Stop it. Now, I mentioned Dale's article because the way he frames it, it's all about searcher intent. And here's where I think it's a brilliant way to describe it. Now, I've been in SEO a long time, and even with a stint with perhaps a more corporate SEO organization, I recognize that that's an excellent use of corporate speak. Because let's face it, no one really enjoys or has a good life when they have to tell the C-suite that a strategy that they approved, that they paid for in salaries over multitude of years, now has to, in essence, be undone. It has to be paid to be undone. So instead of putting a focus on the strategy, they put it on the searcher. And it makes the life of the corporate SEO a whole lot easier to manage and navigate. Bravo. Yes. Now, because of my choices, I don't have to be bound by the constraints of triggering any C-suite angst. So I can call it what it is. Search has shifted from keyword matching to being topical and relevant. Now, when I had my CD manufacturing studio, I very likely did. I'm pretty sure I did. I've slept a few nights since then, but I'm pretty sure I had a page about 4-panel digipacks and another one on 8-panel digipacks. But now, knowing what I know, I'd have one page on digipacks. And on that one page, I would have all their variations. They come in 4-panel, 8-panel, 12-panel, go on and on and on and on. And for the few CD outfits that are left out there, that's an SEO tip for you, and you're welcome. Now, personally, I have not seen in all my years a way of determining someone's specific search intent. But I think we can often distill what general question they want answered sometimes. Like those URLs that I just read to you a couple of minutes ago. Those pages were all answering the same question. How can I pick the best roofer for my problem? Now, that site where I found all those URLs, only one of those pages was both indexed and served. I did not have direct access into the Search Console, but the page that was indexed, I was able to see and tell that it was dropping down in the SERPs after the fall of 2023. Now, that was that big old September helpful content craziness. And since then, the site overall, when you looked at a composite view, the site overall was getting less and less organic coverage. Now, like I said, I also uncovered other clusters of essentially keywords strategy instead of a topical strategy. So I was seeing, when I looked at individual pages, which ones were indexed, which ones were not. And the indexed ones, even though Google figured out which one to use, the site was still not free, right? It was still weighed down by all that similar topical content. Now, this type of diagnosis really is only possible when you drop down way into the weeds. And most of the time, if you have Search Console access, you can do this in the performance section. If you don't have Search Console, then you got to get a little creative and use multiple tools and start figuring out which ones are indexed and which ones are not without having access to Search Console. Happens to be my skill that I've developed. But anyway, so when you see that something is starting to get less and less organic coverage, if you do have Search Console, I recommend people filter to the country that the business is in and then to the page. So you can find, let's say, any page on your site, and you're like, okay, is this indexed? Well, inspect the URL. It'll tell you if it's indexed or not. Now, the real question is, how do you know it's served? This is what I'm about to tell you. So filter to the country, filter to the page, and check on the ranking position. And you will see that some pages that are noted as indexed, they are not being served. And you can't tell which ones by the index page report. So did you get that? You need to overlay the performance data on the URLs that are indeed indexed but not being served. And what that means in real terms is there's no orange line for the position, because a page is only going to get a position if it's served. And if it's served sporadically, that's going to look like orange dots in there. You're not going to see a line. And this concept is, as I'm saying this, super challenging to verbally describe. But imagine it's the Google equivalent of a ropes course where you're developing trust in your team, right? So if you're falling back and trusting that that index page report is going to catch you, please wear a helmet. Now, another thing Dale talked about was the value of reading the SERPs. Yes. So much this. I really recommend resisting the heavy reliance on tools. Mostly we do it because, we think we're saving time and everything we see is accurate. But get your eyeballs on what the SERPs are actually talking about. You might find for that, I'm going to use the word query, you might find for that query not a single result uses your specific keyword phrase in their titles or in their meta descriptions as Google has returned them. Did we all get that? Now, the other piece I liked a lot was this section about, using AI wisely, but prioritizing customer insights. Even if you're a plumber, read your reviews, find out, what people liked, what they talked about. And not everybody searches like they know what they're looking for, and they don't describe it the way you would necessarily as a professional in your industry. Now, I point you to a past Confessions episode entitled Buying is Hard. And it's from last season, July 2024. I'll put the link in the description. So my best advice, if you get the urge to write more content for your client, do a search using the site operator. You know what that is? It's the word site, S-I-T-E, and then a colon, and then domain name, and then there's a space. And after that space, type in your keyword query. With that kind of search, it limits the results to the pages on your or your client's site. So if there's already a page on your site that Google believes answers that topical question, do yourself and your client a favor. Just improve the one you already have, because in this case, the conventional approach is not going to get your client happy to pay you while you drown the site in search results with multiple pages, ultimately all answering the same query. Well, that's it for me this week. As you know, Indexilla is my indexing platform, and it is so much within Google's terms of service. It's safe for every type of link. You can find it at indexilla.io. And if you need help with your site and you're not sure where to dig, contact my office. My specialty is forensic SEO. Does this mean I'm going to find a silver bullet and bring you something that you've never seen before or thought of before? Maybe, but the value is in the perspective of the factors that we are already aware of. Is there something new? To stay on the cutting edge of the state of indexing, check out Crawl or No Crawl on Substack. You can find it by searching for it, Crawl or No Crawl. It even has its own knowledge graph. Thank you for being a listener. I hope I can count on you coming back next week. Let's have more SEO conversations. If you have questions about today's topic, you can reach out and text me at Confessions at 512-222-3132. Thanks again, and until next week, I'll see you in the SERPs.